Welcome to The Crooked Climb with Suzanne and Denise. Life and business are not linear. Let's get moving with honest, reliable, and unbiased information you can use to master life and business. We've all experienced life's ups and downs. In this show, Suzanne and Denise are committed to moving onward, upward, and most of all, learning from the biggest challenges we face in life and business. Join in the conversations with experts in their respective fields of health, wellness, personal development, fitness, and fun. And that's not all. Your path to self-mastery starts here. No climb is a straight line. Goals are achievable with clear targets. The ascent begins now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Crooked Climb.
Hello.
I'm Suzanne Taylor-King, and hey, Denise, what's happening?
Hey, Suze. How you doing? Life is good.
Life is good. Well, I want to just say a big warm welcome to The Crooked Climb. You can expect some real, honest solutions to your everyday challenges that you may experience in your life and business. This show is a result of hundreds of conversations that Denise and I have had in our journey as entrepreneurs, as friends, as business besties, and podcast co-hosts. We really hope that when you do these three things, nourish, move, and be, everything comes together in your life and your business. Each episode, we try to give you tips and nuggets of wisdom that you can actually jot down on paper, take with you, actually start to practice. And today is going to be like no other. Denise, I'm going to let you check in with me and then give a nice warm welcome to our guest today.
Sure. Well, hello, everyone. Hi, Suze. It's good to see you, my dear friend.
You too.
You know, one of the things I love about what we do at The Crooked Climb is, those tips that we talk about truly are things that people can incorporate into their life right away. So jot stuff down, everybody, take those notes. And truly, today's episode is going to be full of fun little nuggets. There's going to be a fun conversation. It's going to be a very interesting conversation with somebody who I absolutely love. And I know, Suzanne, you do too. So I would love to introduce to you David George Brooks. He is a speaker, teacher, author, an amazing storyteller. Truly, you got to listen to him. He's amazing. David is that gratitude guy. And again, like I said, he's been a speaker, a coach, he's a best-selling author, and has been for over 25 years. That's kind of amazing because everybody wants to be a best-selling author. Well, David really is. So he's a former Nordstrom store manager and has managed in the corporate world for over 30 years. Some of his published works include The Gratitude Guy's Daily Gratitude Journal, which we will touch on during our conversation. Monday Morning Minutes, 100 minutes of gratitude. Sometimes we need to start with one. David's got 100. 6 word lessons to embrace gratitude, and a number of other books on what is our amazing topic today? Gratitude. So as a result of David's passion, he has presented over, get this, 750 speeches and workshops just in the past 8 years, including over 100 Zoom presentations in the last 18 months. So during this whole COVID craziness, David's been busy and sharing gratitude and helping people to stay positive and find that gratitude in their lives. Typically, without COVID, he travels nationally and internationally to deliver this important message on gratitude and how that can ultimately change your life. So check out David's YouTube channel, That Gratitude Guy. There are over 1,500 videos on gratitude. He's got tons of subscribers, so we always need 1 more, 2 more, 20 more, 100 more. So go on and subscribe. Lots of people have seen David's message. He's truly considered a leading authority on how living a life of gratitude can enhance and improve your life, both personally and professionally. David, you absolutely enhanced my life from the moment I met you. So welcome to the Crooked Climb.
Thanks, Denise. Thanks so much for that nice introduction. And thanks, Suzanne. Nice to see you as well. Yes, it's always neat to connect. I remember when I met both of you, and I use this term all the time, like-minded. And anybody that wants to get out there and help other people, one of my pet sayings I love is you want to help yourself, help other people. And when you meet like-minded people like you two ladies, there's just this instant connection. So I am very thrilled to be with you ladies today.
Thank you.
Well,
it looks like
we're
you're in a
thrilled
beautiful
to have
place
you
right
be
now.
here. Yeah, it looks like you're enjoying nature, which is one of the things I'm grateful for all of the time. And when Denise was reading your introduction, something like clicked with me that business-wise, you pivoted your business quite a bit during COVID and went to the virtual presentation. So I just want to say congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And being able to do that, being open-minded enough to see that and see it through and embrace technology and do what you needed to do. I love it.
Absolutely. And thanks, Suzanne. I'll just make a comment on that. I think that's interesting because like any other technology, it's just changing every single day. And Zoom is a perfect example where a few years ago, we didn't have the bandwidth to handle just even Zoom calls. And I'm on my phone today, it could be your laptop, your computer, what have you. I remember telling both my sons, they're now 37 and 27, about 15 years ago, I will never be left behind. I don't care how old I am. I will never get left. There's just too much neat things to do with the technology. But the Zoom thing has really kind of saved my career during that 18 months. But even that, researching, understanding how to get people involved, give me a thumbs up, give me a high five, nice sweater, nice plants in the background, Suzanne. I mean, all those things to make people feel part of it because you were still looking at little boxes on a computer. So it was really neat to see how that expanded our business.
Yeah, I love it. And that just, with my business brain, the way it works, that just struck me as something I really hadn't thought of about you. But one of the things we wanted to ask you today, how did you end up that gratitude guy? Can you share us a bit about your story and how you ended up here?
Absolutely. Thanks, Suzanne. There's a couple of pieces to it. When I was 19, I was a freshman at the University of Washington, and I went back and spoke to a high school class. And the teacher said, I want you to tell this class what it's going to take to be successful. And I told him, and then I went out to my car, looked in the rearview mirror, and I thought, that's what I want to be someday as a motivational speaker. And that was in 1969. So it took me 45 years to actually realize my dream of becoming a motivational speaker. And, as they say, life gets in the way and other things happen and so forth. And so, but I always knew I wanted to do that. I just didn't know how it was going to be or what the subject would be. And then in September 29th, 1998, my wife passed away and my sons were very young, 4 and 14. And as I tell audiences that I speak to, I just needed to figure out some sort of a healthy coping mechanism. There are so many destructive and deadly coping mechanisms out there. All you have to do is look at the drinking, smoking, drugs, prescription medication, all that type of thing that are killing people left and right. And they're just really looking for a way to cope. So I thought, you know what, I found gratitude. And I found in gratitude, as I talk in my speeches about it helps you focus on what you have versus what you don't have. One of my pet sayings is gratitude turns what you have into enough. And we're so constantly, whether it's whatever generation it is, like a cat chasing its tail, they've got a better house, better car, better wife, better job, more money. And it's like ridiculous because you'll never be at a place that the other person is. And somebody once said to me, never compare your inside to somebody else's outside. And it's so important. The only person you want to compare to is who you were yesterday and try to be better than that person. But along the way, and I just sort of, one day somebody said, well, you're kind of that gratitude guy. You're talking about gratitude. And I went, oh, there's a good handle. And so I got that. And that was probably, I've been doing this now for about 10 years officially. And I left the retail world of Nordstrom and Lowe's as a store manager and so on, and thought, you've got to pursue this dream. And so the gratitude guy thing kind of stuck. And then I kind of used that as my moniker. And it's still funny because it's like anybody else that develops a brand, this was not my intention, but it really worked out well because I'll be in Starbucks and somebody come up to me and they'll start pointing their finger at me and they go, you're that, hold on, you're that gratitude guy. they don't know what my name is, but they know I'm that gratitude guy. And so it's always kind of rewarding as my fraternity brothers go, yeah, we're all impressed that somebody knows who you are. And I go,
Yeah.
well, I speak to a lot of audiences. So, but it really, that's how it kind of evolved. And it sounds dramatic, but both with Dana's death and looking back on my mom's death and my dad's death when I was relatively young and other traumas, I say that gratitude saved my life and it can save yours too. And it's all about a mindset of focusing on what you have versus what you don't have. And it's so easy. Every day you get out of bed, you can get out on the left side, the right side, positive, negative, up, down, grateful, ungrateful. It's your choice. And nobody else makes that for you except you. And so as a result of having that choice, I just chose to be grateful. I chose to look at my blessings in abundance, not worry about my lack, and just try to be a lifelong learner, which is another reason why I love you two ladies so much. We're all after that lifelong learning approach versus the know-it-alls of the world that we all come across. So it's just been a tremendous platform, and it's been the best thing I've ever done.
It's been really amazing to listen to your podcast, some of your earlier videos, and then listening to your podcast in this past year. And it's funny, you said something a minute ago that you say on a regular basis. So, I just think it's important for people to know that, you really do walk your walk and you really believe in what you're saying, because you said a little bit ago, gratitude helps you to see that what you have becomes enough. You've said that on several podcasts.
Right.
And
right.
And that was one of those things, one of the several things you've said through the year that I've known you, that's really, sparked not just interest, but really kind of touched me in a way that I want to say to people, you know what? Yes, David's got it right. We always are looking for, what's next, what's best. Interestingly, I was just editing a chapter in the book that I'm writing, and it's about just that. It's about always, why we're always looking for more and for that next thing. And we never actually sit back and appreciate what we actually have or what we've accomplished.
Right. It's such a good point. Somebody told it to me once. If you're running a marathon, I ran one marathon in 1981. It took me about 4 hours. And somebody said, well, if you're at 13 miles, should you be proud of yourself for the 13 miles you've run, or you should be thinking more about the 13 miles you still have to go? And the correct answer is both. You should be proud of yourself for what you've done, but also looking forward to what's in front of you. And the reason the good Lord put the eyes in the front of your head is to pay attention to what's in front of you. I love to talk about the windshield on your car. Mostly look in front of you and see where you're going. Occasionally glance at the rearview mirror to see something in the past, but mostly focus on what's in front of you. So it's so important, the mindset. And yet, with that being said, Denise, it's still amazing the amount of people that, well, what should I do about gratitude? Should I get a gratitude journal? Should I write things every day? Tell me some of the tips and tools. And I always will. But I also realize there's going to be certain people that are kind of gratitude believers, as I call them. That's kind of my tribe. And then there's others that just sort of poo-poo it. And that's fine too. But my thing is, if I talk to 100 people and 10 people get it, that's 10 more than got it yesterday. And so it's so important, because it's that mindset, and that's that shift. A couple of the other podcasters talk about shift, and it's so true. If you shift that mindset, but there has to be a willingness to do it. And that's why when I met both you and Suzanne, it's just, I think, God, I just feel like I've met the people I've known all my life, because we think so similarly. And one of the biggest things you want to do is help other people. And when I was in those stores at Nordstrom and Lowe's, and there's corporate jets, and you're flying here and you're making all sorts of money and you're a big star and all that, it can't compare to the notes I get now that somebody says, I changed your life. And you changed my life. And I wasn't going to come to your talk. I came here, I was so depressed. And after this, I feel this. And I'll never forget when you said so-and-so. And any kind of validation representing a testimony or anything just makes you, it's priceless. You can't put a price on it. It's just incredible to actually help other people to move forward in their life.
So interestingly, I think you just answered our next question. What do you like most about what you do? And I think you just told us.
Yeah, I love that.
It is so important. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and they were saying how, it's true. We go through high school and college, get our degrees, get married, have kids, and so many things still relate to who has money. It's like, that's the ultimate way we keep score. They have more money. They have a bigger house, a better car, like I said, a better, mountain cabin or a boat, whatever. And it's crazy. And to me, I kind of score my life now by how many people I've impacted. And every time I say I impact lives, and you hear people say they make a difference, which is a great term. But when you impact lives and people say, I'll never forget, any sentence that starts with, I'll never forget Denise, I'll never forget, Suzanne, when you said this. I remember always when you said blank. It doesn't matter what they say. It just gives you the chills because you know you changed somebody else's trajectory and put them on a
Yeah.
better path. And it's just the most rewarding thing. And when they just look at you and just tell you, thank you so much. And in many cases say, because I really feel with a lot of tragedies, Dana, my wife, was 38 when she passed away, and Connor and Kyle were 4 and 14. I was 25 when my mom died. I was 28 when my dad committed suicide, and just a lot of different things. And I thought, I'm going to have to find something, but preferably a healthy one. And that's what gratitude represented, is just a really healthy coping mechanism.
I think you make a good point, explaining, that about the tragedies that you've had in your life and the things you've had to cope with, and how they're tough stuff, but you found gratitude. And so when I think of people who are teaching, who are in positions where we're sharing and we're showing people there is a better way, you're coming from a place of true understanding. Right. I think that is how you make the biggest impact, using your words on people, is the fact that you've been there and you are where you are now, and you can help people.
I totally agree, Denise. I think there's an authenticity about it. I sometimes on the stage will point to my shoes and say, I'm not teaching out of some book. I've walked down this path. I've experienced what it's like. I remember when the medics were working on Dana, and she had unfortunately had a prescription pill overdose. And the medics both looked at me, there's about 10 of them, the fire and police and everything. They said, Mr. Brook, and they had the paddles and the wires and the tubes and everything on the floor. And they said, we've been working on your wife for 90 minutes. She still doesn't have a heartbeat. Do you want us to continue? And I remember even being in shock, knowing you can't go 90 minutes without oxygen to the brain. And I said, no, you can stop. And so when you have those things imprinted on your brain, you look at the value of life, and then you also realize back to that, if you want to help yourself, help other people, there's something about that, spreading that around, because not everybody has the capacity. I look at some of the fellow podcasters, for instance, I look at the brain power on this group. Not everybody has that. There's a lot of people that just by the way of the birth lottery or just how they decide to educate or not educate themselves. So when you're in a position to have this kind of influence and this kind of knowledge and this kind of ability to spread that kind of word, you want to take advantage of it and take advantage of the gift you were given, which is one to really want to seek out to be a lifelong learner and let other people know.
Yes. I want to say that resonates with me so much, because I had so many doubts when I first started as a coach. Numerous, people asked me, oh, well, you've been divorced twice and married a third time. How could you be a coach? Well, it's those hardships and those things that I went through that actually make me a better coach than a 22-year-old who has not experienced life yet. And one of the things that really sealed it in for me was a life coaching client from about 10 years ago who had experienced all the same hardships as me. And she was telling me her story. And I thought, check. And she had not left her house in 8 years, hadn't had a job.
Oh, wow.
Was 100, 200 pounds overweight, was a shopaholic, an alcoholic. And I got her a therapist, got her a train, all the things. But when I really thought about it, she hired me because I had walked in the same shoes as her and made other choices. How did I do that?
So true.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about what you do, is that you show people there is another choice in their thinking.
Absolutely. And again, taking advantage of those gifts and knowing that you really authentic is such a great word, or being transparent and showing that, like you said, you experience check, as you just said, Suzanne. It's so important. And I know there's great people out there that teach from a book and they teach concepts, but it's sort of practical versus theory. The book's the theory, the practical, those shoes that you've walked through. And I say something very similar, that I can't walk the identical path, but we can walk a parallel path and go through these kind of traumas. And you mentioned marriage and divorce, and I won't even say how many times I married. I'll hold up like this, but I can't say the number. And it's just the way life worked. When my second wife died and I had two very short marriages and so forth. But then people say, oh, really? It's been that many times. And I go, that was my path. Look what I've learned. And so it's always interesting how people do occasionally judge us. And I've noticed as I've gotten older, I just don't have any judgment anymore. It's just like, you did what was best. Denise did what was best. And it's just so important to have a great relationship with that person in the mirror. That's the most important relationship you're ever going to have. So
I have to put, so both of you have had a similar story with marriage and divorce. I have a very opposite story. So I was 32 when I got married to Mark. Mm-hmm. And can I tell you the years of torment? What do you mean you're not married? Why aren't you dating somebody? Why aren't you married? When are you going to have kids? Oh my gosh. Yeah. And that can really affect you in a very negative way. When, I remember there were times where I would think, well, why don't I have that person in my life? Why aren't I married? And, when it comes to, to gratitude back then, I didn't look at it as, look at all this great freedom and this all these things that I'm learning, and the time that I had to spend with my nephew and my sister, and all of these great things that I actually had, because everybody else kept saying to me, well, you're lacking here.
Exactly. And it's interesting, somebody else's interpretation of your life. I'm always fascinated. I try to not be a smart aleck about this, but how many people want to inject their opinion into your life? And I will say, what's really funny? I don't remember me asking you your opinion. Maybe I missed something here, but I don't think I said, can you give me an opinion on this? And it makes me think of the 5 regrets of the dying. And one of them is, I wish I would have spent more time with my friends. I wish I wouldn't have had to work so hard. These were people in their 90s. But one that relates to me, Denise, to what you just said, is one of the big 5 was, I wish I'd lived a life truer to myself rather than the lives others expected for me. Well, you should by 30, you should be married, you should have kids, you should have, that's what they expect. But what about what your plan was for your life? It's your life. So I thought that was such a great life, living a life truer to yourself, which is really true.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a thought. I was listening to one of your podcasts on the drive back down from the airport earlier, and you said something that this is kind of making me think of this, what we want, the life that we're thinking, and how gratitude can really help us along that pathway. One of the things I'd like your insight on is nature versus nurture when it comes to gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's really interesting, because I think the whole nature versus nurture is such a great subject, because I think it's like flipping a coin and it lands on its edge or something. I think both sides have such an impact. And I think that what I noticed that with the whole gratitude thing, people have adopted it later in life. They've learned it earlier. But I think some people come to gratitude because they've tried other things that haven't worked. And one of the things that we haven't really touched on, but it's if podcast listeners, if people in the talks or whatever if they get nothing else, I tell them, you must consider, I'll leave that word out there. You must consider getting a gratitude journal. Because there's something about planning it in your brain. It takes 5 minutes every day. On my gratitude journal, there's a little saying that says, if you think about it, it's like a dream. If you talk about it, it inspires you. But if you write about it, it empowers you. And it's so powerful. I am so grateful to Denise and Suzanne for inviting me to the Crooked Climb podcast today and so forth. And it plants it. And then as you get older, it not only plants it, but as you get older, it keeps your brain exercised as much as your body. And we're finding out with dementia and Alzheimer's and all these kinds of things, it's almost more important to exercise your brain than it is your body, because that's what happens to the brain when it gets older, and it atrophies and it doesn't get as much use. So that writing that every day. And then I think too, but David, I'm so busy. I have to meditate. I have to drink water. I have to have my proper nutrition, take my supplements, talk to my friends. I go, I know, I get that. But I said, it's 5 minutes every day. And also, if you can't write it every day, then even just write one word, write a sentence, write a bullet point, write one word. It's better to do less than you expected than nothing at all. And it's just like, at least do something, even if it's one word. I'm grateful to Denise. I'm grateful to Suzanne. That's 6 words. If you can't do that, it makes such a difference. And then you build on that and it builds momentum. So I just think people that are looking for it, and that's why back to the nature versus nurture, I'm still not sure what it is, because I've seen people that have incredible gifts that never take advantage of them. Now I've seen people that have nothing and become incredible humans. And they were in the right birthplace or the right birth parents or the birth lottery or whatever, and achieve great things. So I think that's always going to be kind of a combination of both.
we hear so often, you have to have a positive attitude. But what I've learned through the years is it's not just a positive attitude. It really is that gratitude attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Being positive is one thing. Because sometimes, and being positive is great. We do want to have a positive attitude, but I honestly believe in my life, what I've transformed more to a gratitude attitude as opposed to positive attitude.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's.
Go ahead,
David.
Suzanne.
I'm sorry. No, go
Well, I
ahead.
was just going to say, I think it's a good point because PMA, positive mental attitude, was drilled into my head, and I think that's important. And gratitude helps you focus on what you have, as I said. But the positive attitude, I think, is great. But let's face it, once in a while, you're not going to have a good day, and you can apply PMA all you want. I'm just going to be positive, and you think, you know what? This is just a bummer day. My younger son said to me once, I said, "Do you ever struggle with depression? Some of that stuff?" And he says, Dad, I have 1, maybe 2 days a month that aren't too good, but I figured 28 out of 30 is pretty good." I thought that's true. So, but I mean, the gratitude thing will always be, especially the writing. That's why I feel that's so important. Even on those days, I do a daily numbering system, 1 to 10. 10 is the best day of your life, and 1 is one of the worst. And even after you write it, you can write the first number, write in your gratitude journal, and write the second number. It almost always goes up when you focus on your blessings. So I think positive mental attitude is important, but just the gratitude practice, I think, is even better.
I would agree. Suzanne?
I was just going to say that positive attitude is great. Being a positive person is awesome. But what gets you through, grief, loss, tragedy, trauma, is being grateful for the things outside of that grief, tragedy, or trauma. And many times I've been asked, what gets you through, losing a parent, losing a spouse.
Right.
And it's about the gratitude for that person when they were in your life.
Exactly.
And I just wanted to share that really resonates with
well,
me.
and
So
there's
thank you.
and there's always and there's always something to be grateful for, even if you've lost a parent or a wife or any of these bad. I think to myself, I had a warm bed, I had a hot shower, I had a roof over my head, I had 3 meals. I mean, there's so many things. I check all the muscles and all the joints, everything's working properly. So it's harder on some days through grief, but you can be grateful and still grieve at the same time.
Absolutely. Well, believe it or not, we're running into our last minute. So David, real quickly, tell people how they can find you and how they can get access to a gratitude journal.
Thank you, Denise. The easiest thing is thatgratitudeguide.com. If you go to the website, you get 1 free, or buy 1, get the second one half off, I should say. And then also on That Gratitude Guide podcast, I'm there as well, and you can see my podcast on that. But the easiest thing is thatgratitudeguide.com or David at thatgratitudeguide.com for email.
Awesome. Thank you. Everybody, each week there's another diet, another workout program, another project, another something out there. You can waste a lot of time and a lot of money on those programs and still feel stuck. Here at the Crooked Climb, our method is simple and it's easy, it's focused. We want you to do 3 things: nourish, move, be. Okay, 4 things. Write in That Gratitude Guide journal. And truly to maximize everything in your life, in business, for those 3 things, now 4 things. We are Suzanne and Denise at the Crooked Climb. We're available on Transformation Talk Radio, anywhere else that you find your podcast or listen to your podcast. Please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. If you like what you hear, we'd really appreciate it. And we will see you next time on the Crooked Climb.